So,
Yeah.
just recently, the Maduro government, the lead prosecutor in Venezuela, named opposition leader Maria Corina Machado as the key suspect of the alleged electoral sabotage from last night. So, is there any concerns by the administration that she might be a target and possibly be arrested within the next hours? Also, some of the OAS members have requested an emergency meeting after the election in Venezuela. How the U.S. will approach the meeting and what is the call after the election?
Sure. So first, I don't have anything to preview as it relates to a potential OAS meeting. Of course, again, OAS is a vital partner, especially as it relates to our foreign policy in the Western Hemisphere, and we'll continue to engage with them as appropriately. I will, to your first question, let me just echo what the Secretary said in Tokyo, in that first we applaud the Venezuelan people for their participation in the presidential election, and we commend their courageous and commitment to democracy in the face of repression and adversity. We've seen the announcement from overnight by the Venezuelan electoral representatives, and we have serious concerns that this result does not reflect the will and the votes of the Venezuelan people. And it's critical that every vote is counted fairly and transparently, and that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and independent observers without delay, and that electoral representatives publish the detailed tabulation of votes. That's what the United States is watching for. It's what the international community is watching for, and we'll respond accordingly. I'm not going to speculate on any particular action that might take place in Venezuela. I will also just so note that this is something that, as I said, countries around the world are watching very closely to. I believe within the hour of before I came down, you saw a number of 7 or 8 countries across Latin America also express serious concern and wanting to see these published detailed tabulation of votes. So that's something that we'll continue to focus on.
Just a last follow-up. So right now we're seeing protests in the streets. Just by the cemetery in Caracas is aligned with fire, and then the government is sending now tanks. Some of the military has refrained from actually engage with the protesters. Maria Corina Machado, which is the leader of the opposition, has called for peace and not to protest. She's actually launching a plan during today events that she's holding. Is it a concern that this could escalate to a confrontation and that the government will double down into arrest and violence?
I'm not going to speculate. Look, we certainly would support anybody's right to peacefully protest and to peacefully make their opinions and their point of view heard. And certainly we would take issue with any kind of violence, especially violence against those who are peacefully protesting. But I'm not going to speculate. Go ahead, in the back. Yeah, you. Yeah, you.
Thank you. As you mentioned, Secretary Blinken was clear that the U.S. has concern that the results announced yesterday might not reflect the will of the voters in the poll. But as of today, does the U.S. recognize the result announced yesterday by the Venezuelan Electoral Authority? Yes or no?
Sorry, who?
If today the United States recognized the result announced yesterday.
So I don't have we don't have any announcement to make as it relates to that. What we are calling for is the immediate publication of detailed polling results to ensure transparency and accountability. It's something that we are looking for, as well as other international and regional partners.
Has there been any recent contact among U.S. officials from here, the State Department, and international observers sent to Caracas, as the Brazilian diplomat Celso Amorim or others?
It's certainly something that we're paying attention closely to. I don't have any specific calls to read out for you, though. Go ahead in the back.
Thank you, Vedant. Thank you. The Syrian Democratic Force SDF declared a general amnesty for detained and ISIS members. Do you have any coordination on this, and how do you look at this?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of your question.
Yeah, the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF in Syria.
SDF,
Yeah, so they declared a general amnesty for ISIS members to be released in their prisons. How do you look at this?
So I'm happy to check back on that. I'm not tracking that issue broadly. When we have talked about the issues relating to the SDF, we've spoken about the importance of prisoners being able to successfully be repatriated to their host countries. But I'm happy to check on this.
And separately, Recently, there have been new attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq. And do you think it is a sign that Iranian-backed militias in Iraq are a threat on U.S. assets anytime?
So I'm certainly not going to speak to any threat assessment or get into the details around that, but this is something you've heard us talk about before, in that groups, proxies, malign actors in Iraq who seek to bring harm on American forces or on American installations certainly need to be held accountable and brought to justice. It's something that we believe is important. It's also something that we know that Iraqi officials believe as well. Alex, go ahead.
Topics, please bear with me. But before that, let me go back to the Venezuela question. I'm having trouble understanding the U.S. assessment at this point. The secretary said that it does not reflect the will or the voice of the people. What does it reflect? Is it stolen? Can you be precise about your assessment at this point?
Alex, that is exactly what we are working closely in close coordination with partners and allies to unearth, and that is why you saw the secretary call for a publication of the detailed tabulation of votes, and that's what us and other regional partners are looking for as well.
We have also seen some of the like-minded authoritarian leaders of Maduro, let's say his allies, are congratulating him. The Putin of the world, Aliyev, others. Do you think they have compelling information before they jump to a conclusion? Or?
You know, Alex, I'm not a spokesperson for those governments, so I will leave it to them. But echoing the secretary, we have serious concern about these results and have concerns that they don't reflect the will and the votes of the Venezuelan people. That is why it is of great importance that every vote is counted fairly and transparently, and that election officials immediately share information with opposition and independent observers. And on top of that, electoral representatives should publish the detailed tabulation of the votes, and that's what we're looking for.
Thank you. Let me move to my region on